Welcome. In this session, we'll talk about three important concepts of disarmament, civil rights, and pacifism. Now, there are two important centers, the Department of Peace Studies at MIT, World Peace University, and the Nelson Mandela Center for Peace and Conflict Resolution, which have been, that's at Jamia Millia, which have been emphasizing the importance and the role of peace scholarship and the modern peace concepts at these research centers. So, in this section, we'll understand the theoretical background behind these foundational concepts. The very first thing that we start with is understanding the types of peace. So we focus on the negative peace versus the positive peace. Negative peace says there is absence of violence. However, positive peace says there is presence of justice, equity, and human rights that is there, right? Now, when negative peace is there, the idea is to stop the war at the very first go and stop any kind of physical violence, so bring a kind of temporary ceasefire. However, the negative peace does not focus into the concepts which deal with equity, justice, or the underlying social equalities. So there can be latent hostilities which can be present in the case of negative peace. However, that is not the case with positive peace. So positive peace is active presence of social reforms, social and economic justice which is sought, right? The next important thing that we understand is Galtung's model of violence. Now, Galtung gave an iceberg metaphor, and under that iceberg metaphor, he said that the basic direct violence that we witness is what is visible part of the glacier. However, the structural and the cultural violence which is there is actually the kind of invisible part of the glacier, right? So the physical or the direct violence which is visible comes in the form of war, in the form of any physical tensions that could be seen. However, structural and cultural, which are not visible, are deep imbibed into the system. So the structural builds on the social system. It manifests the ideas of poverty, racism, or unequal power distribution. However, cultural, on the other hand, talks about the religion, the ideology, the language, and brings in a more binding perspective, right? So when we talk about cultural violence, it is more related to the ideological aspects of an individual. So together, this cultural and structural violence give pace to what is called as the direct violence, which is visible, and that is what Johan Galtung explained. And he also talked about this whole concept could be explained as the conflict of tree, where the roots are actually the structural and the cultural violence. The trunk is the direct violence and the branches are the consequences of it. Now, these consequences can be in the form of trauma, in the form of migration, riots, demonstrations, which could be witnessed through the branches, are seen through the consequences which lead to the economic collapse. The recent US-Iran war, we have seen the consequences in the form of depreciating currencies in Iran, then the psychological trauma onto the people, and the increase in the local crimes that could be seen, right? So the branches are actually the consequences of it. Now, once we have understood what is peace, what are the types of peace, what are the models of violence and the conflict of violence, let's talk about some of the major scholars who laid down their theory. So Galtung, as we saw, told about the theory of violence, the positive and the negative peace, where he discussed the structural, cultural, and the direct violence. The positive peace, according to him, is a systemic social justice that can be brought. However, negative peace is simply the absence of violence. The next important one is Ledage. We have already talked about the theory of Ledage that talks about the cultural transformation. So it focuses mainly on restorative justice and community level dialogue. M.S.A. Rao, very important, he talked about social movements and social movements' collective role in bringing a social change. Then we have Herbert Blumer. Herbert Blumer's theory is again directly asked for your examination, and that is known as symbolic interactionist social movement theory. Now, this defines social movement not as an individual but as a collective enterprise, and the idea is to establish a new social order. So what we talk about the Gen Z revolution in the recent era is an example of the symbolic interactionist social movement theory. The next is Giddens. Now Giddens' work are extremely important not only for this but even for sociological perspectives. So Giddens was a sociologist who talked about the sociology, agency and structure. So his idea was any social movement that arises is an effort of the group of people. So it's a collective attempt by the people to focus on a common interest. So the common interest is well structured into the society, and that is where the sociological agency and structures play a important role. Now coming on to the very basic of the lecture that we start with today. Now when we understand why individuals mobilize for a social change, or there is utilization of peace researchers, we try to understand one very important aspect, and that is what is called as RDT, which is the relative deprivation theory. Now relative deprivation says that there is a collective frustration that exists when there is a gap between what people believe they deserve versus